Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. I'm your host Harpreet Singh from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. Today I'm going to take you to the United States, where my guest is going to be two guests we are having today. One is Stevie Kaur from Wisconsin and Deepti Kaur from Los Angeles. They've created an organization called SikhSAACH. This organization helps people who have been sexually assaulted, sexually abused. And what is their mandate, what they are doing? We'll be talking all about this today in this program. So let's welcome both our guests and continue with the discussion. Stevie and Deepti, welcome to the program.
Harpreet, thank you so much for having us both today.
Welcome. So let's start off with this organization, SikhSAACH. This name is a unique name. So how did you get this idea, and how did you think of starting this organization?
So this is actually kind of an interesting story. So our relationship, Stevie and mine, we were complete strangers prior to this. And we actually met when the case about Maryland came out. And I know that's been a very popular case in the media, and especially among the Sikh community. And so that's how we met. We met on the YouTube channel of the Maryland case. And that's when her and I both began interacting, and that's where the idea of SikhSAACH was born. SikhSAACH is really supposed to be a safe place for sexual assault survivors and victims and their community members, basically anyone who needs support in the Sikh community. And of course, we welcome any victims and survivors from outside as well, not limiting our resources whatsoever, but this is predominantly meant for the Sikh community. And the idea of SikhSAACH, the name itself, Sach means truth in Punjabi, and so that's what we're really trying to emphasize here, that the victims and survivors, this is truth, and this is unfortunately the truth that most of us don't really talk about in the Sikh community.
Right. So, Stevie, when you say that you met on the net and you became friends, and then you started thinking of having an organization. So, was this case just impetus that you just started off starting an organization? When was this, and how did started developing on this particular idea?
So, I have been doing some work in Wisconsin for a few years because we had a case at a local Gurdwara here in Wisconsin, and we did have a victim at the time, and I noticed that there was no resources, no one to support her, not even the Sangat. It was a very difficult situation for the family. So from then I started doing more research. Now, I've already been an advocate for sexual assault victims and survivors for many, many years. So when I came to Wisconsin and this incident happened, I knew that what we were lacking as a community, as a Sikh community, that, this is something that no one wants to talk about. It's very uncomfortable, and we need change. So with me doing work in the background, when the Maryland case came up, I had made a comment because I wanted accountability. I wanted answers. I wanted to know how someone, a perpetrator, could still be around so many children, potential victims, for so many years. Like, how is that possible? And that's where Deepti, she had saw my message, and then we connected, and we decided that together, as she has a strong background as well in this area,
right,
that we really need to do something. We can no longer sit on the sideline and just watch and listen. We need to be proactive now and take that initiative.
Right. Now, of course, you did some research on all this. Can you tell us how serious is this issue in states as far as the Sikhs are concerned?
Well, what I found is there are hundreds and hundreds of cases. Many people reached out to me personally to tell me about this family member and that family member. And this is in the last 3 years. I've been hearing these stories and messages and talking to people. So I've also had messages from the other side that says, this doesn't exist in our community, we're Sikhs, this doesn't happen. But you have to remember that Sikhs are human people, so there are the same problems that every community has, and this is one of them. So, I stand very determined in making sure that we know this is an issue, but we can address it, and we can support the survivors, we can help educate families, we can help educate the committee management at the each local gurdwara, like we can put measures in place that's going to end sexual violence.
Well, this topic, what you're talking, is still considered to be a taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it, and especially the honor which we attach with these kind of things. So, can you take us on this journey as to, when you started thinking of starting this organization, what kind of challenges you had to go through? Because talking within the community is a difficult task, especially in the gurdwaras. These kind of issues are not discussed. So, can you talk on this particular point?
Sure. So when we first started out SikhSAACH, this was just a small idea that Stevie and I had been contemplating for some time. And the idea for SikhSAACH was literally just born in October of 2020. So we are still a very brand new organization. But as we started putting feelers out there in the community, especially in the LA community, I grew up here my entire life. I've been attending camps and Gurmat camp and Gurmat classes every weekend. And, I've been very well involved in the LA community. And so when I first started speaking to them about one of a prominent female leader out here essentially told me that because I am a woman, I'm going to have a lot more difficulty getting my point across, especially when it comes to sexual abuse and sexual assault in the Sikh community, that especially because we are still a patriarchal society, that it may be difficult for men of higher position like Granthis and, other prominent Sikh community members for them to take me seriously, even though this may be a serious topic.
Absolutely. And how about you, Stevie? In Wisconsin, you talked about that this issue you had faced earlier also. So did you also face some challenge when you started talking to the people in the community that we are going to start this organization?
So it was probably a 70-30 split. 70 with support, as many people know me here. I do a lot of seva, so I get to know a lot of people. And then about 30% older population, they're very much not comfortable with this. And they said, you're stir the pot. It's shameful what you're doing. You shouldn't be discussing these things. You shouldn't want to bring this kind of education into the Gurdwara. And, this is not good. And I said, but we're not helping people. We're not helping our own. And as a Sikh, it's my duty, our beloved Guru Gobind Singh Ji would want me to stand tall and fight this injustice, to fight this assault on would-be victims. Like it's our duty to protect the Sangat as well. So when I hear that and I get that pushback, I just think of the children that we could be saving, by having these policies in place and having people adhere to them and having that support, because what happens is when an incident occurs, there's a lot of victim blaming and shaming, and a lot of it is put on the female. Now sexual assault and abuse occurs with males, boys as well, but so much is put on the female, and we need to really change this mentality. And it does stem from a patriarchal culture, but change is coming and it will happen, but it will take time. But we're going to keep pushing forward.
So finally, in October, you decided that you will be launching this organization, and during this pandemic, you started working. So what all has been done so far? What do you plan in the future? What is your mandate? We'll be talking all about these issues after this short break. So we'll be going for a break and we'll be shortly back and continue with the discussion.
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੀ, ਡੈਲਟਾ, ਰਿਚਮੰਡ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਤਜਰਬੇਕਾਰ ਬਿਲਡਰ, ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਇੰਟੀਰੀਅਰ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਰ ਦੀ, ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਾਰ ਸਕਣ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜਾਂ ਸੰਦੀਪ 604825।
है जुल्म ढाने का अंदाज भी कितना हंसी, हमारी जान पर बनाई है जब जब उसने अंगड़ाई ली। कभी खामोश रहते हैं, कभी शोर होता है। मोहब्बत में शरारत का मजा कुछ और होता है। दिल को जज्बात का तोहफा, खामोशियों को बात का तोहफा, खूबसूरती में जड़ी नजाकत अदाओं की चांद से मुखड़े को चांद सा तोहफा।
भारत ज्वेलर्स, सच्चे प्यार की चमक जैसा। पायल बिजनेस सेंटर सरी
9295 ਉੱਤੇ।
ਛੋਟੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟਸ ਤੱਕ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰਨ ਲਈ ਮਸ਼ਹੂਰ ਹਨ ਜੇਰੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਵਾਲੇ। ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰੈਡੀਸ਼ਨਲ ਕੰਟੈਂਪਰੇਰੀ ਜਾਰਜੀਅਨ ਮਾਡਰਨ ਲੁੱਕ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਜੇਰੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਨੂੰ, ਜੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਾਬਲ ਸਟਾਫ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਜ ਕੇ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਐਸਟੀਮੇਟ ਦੇਣਗੇ। ਸਟੋਨ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਅਰਬਨ ਸਟੋਨ, ਮੋਲਡਿੰਗਸ, ਐਕਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼, ਪਿਲਰਸ ਆਦਿ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਸਟਾਲ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਮਹਾਰਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ। 25 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਵਾਰੰਟੀ, ਮੇਨਟੇਨੈਂਸ ਫ੍ਰੀ, ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਅਪਰੂਵਡ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਵੇਖੋ। ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6046149231 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ यूनिट नंबर 500, 1515 ब्रॉडवे स्ट्रीट, पोर्ट कुकटलम। ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ। ਮੇਰੇ ਅੱਜ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨੇ ਸਟੀਵੀ ਕੌਰ ਵਿਸਕੌਨਸਨ ਤੋਂ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀਪਤੀ ਕੌਰ ਲਾਸ ਐਂਜਲਸ ਤੋਂ। ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੱਚ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਬਣਾਈ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਹੀ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹ ਸੰਸਥਾ ਹੋਂਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਈ ਅਤੇ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਮੈਂਡੇਟ। ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਅਬਿਊਜ਼ ਇਨ ਦ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਇਜ਼ ਕੁਆਇਟ ਪ੍ਰੀਵੈਲੈਂਟ। ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਇਹ ਉਜਾਗਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕੀ ਇਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੈਂਡੇਟ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਮਸਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਿਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਈ ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਦ ਕੌਰ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਅਸੌਲਟ ਔਰ ਅਬਿਊਜ਼ ਵਿਦਨ ਦ ਫੈਮਲੀਜ਼ ਬਾਹਰ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਪਰ ਇਹ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਇਹ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਵੇਂ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਵੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਵੇਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਹੀ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਕੁਝ ਹੀ ਪਲਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਅਗਨੀਹੋਤਰੀ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਸਲਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਟੈਂਪਰੇਰੀ ਸਟੇਟਸ PR ਨਵੇਂ ਹੋ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ, ਅੰਤਰਰਾਸ਼ਟਰੀ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਹੋ, ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੀ ਹੈ, ਹਾਇਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਫੋਰਨ ਵਰਕਰਸ, ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਐਂਟਰੀ ਜਾਂ ਸਪਾਂਸਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਜਾਂ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ, ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਿਪੈਂਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਨੀਰਾ ਅਗਨੀਹੋਤਰੀ ਤੇ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ 2006 ਤੋਂ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਸਲਟੈਂਟ ਵਜੋਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਓਨੈਸਟ ਤੇ ਰਿਲਾਇਬਲ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਣਗੇ। ਫॉर मोर ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਾਲ 6045972284 604 597 2284। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਐਡਰੈਸ ਹੈ 12788 76 A ਐਵਨਿਊ, ਸਰੀ। ਸਾਡੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗੀ ਹਨ ਬੈਸਟ ਹੋਮ ਕਿਚਨ ਕੈਬਨਿਟਸ। ਘਰ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਾਨ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਚਨ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਨਾ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਵਿੱਚ। ਬੈਸਟ ਹੋਮ ਕਿਚਨ ਕੈਬਨਿਟਸ ਲੋਅਰ ਮੇਨਲੈਂਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਜਾਣੀ ਪਛਾਣੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਹਨ। ਕਸਟਮ ਹਾਈ ਐਂਡ ਘਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਮਲਟੀ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟਸ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਕੈਬਨਿਟ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਬੈਸਟ ਹੋਮ ਕਿਚਨ ਕੈਬਨਿਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ। ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਸੁਰਜੀਤ ਤੇਸੀ 6045918171 604 591 8171। Let's get back both our guests and continue with the discussion. So Stevie and Deepti, once again welcome. And now that you decided to start this organization in October, it's just about a few months you have started this. What kind of reports are you getting and how are you trying to address them? What kind of help is being provided to the victims?
That's a very important question, and that was one of the foremost conversations that Stevie and I had. What is the purpose of SikhSAACH and why are we doing this and why now? And so with the cases that were coming out, with the Maryland case, with the case that Stevie was talking about in Wisconsin, especially with the Kaur movement in UK, there is a greater need for national Sikh leadership when it comes to sexual assault and sexual abuse within the United States. We are trying to incorporate SikhSAACH in both the United States as well as Canada at some point. But as we're starting out, the purpose of SikhSAACH is really to provide prevention, accountability, and support resources. And specifically those three. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about prevention just a little bit. And I know Stevie is great with accountability. So
Sure.
In regards to prevention, though, that is the most important and that is the best step when it comes to sexual assault and sexual violence. So in starting with prevention, it's awareness and education that we're trying to provide to the Sikh community. Basically, what sexual assault is, what it looks like, how to prevent it, and how to react when someone does disclose that they are a victim or a survivor of this. Because the response from the community is the most important thing in ensuring that the victim feels safe and still loved and still cared for despite having faced this adversity. So that is the foremost part. And then moving on to accountability, Stevie, I think you're fabulous at that.
Yes, Stevie.
Thank you, Deepti. So on the accountability part, by putting that prevention in place that Deepti has mentioned, the biggest hurdle that we'll face is in the Gurdwara at the local levels. Some Gurdwara committees, the management is very progressive and very open, very supportive Others are still very leery of this topic being anywhere close to the Gurdwara or in their committee meetings. But because in the 50 states of the U.S. there is legal liability, they really need to put this into place, these policies. We'll work with them very closely so that they understand what the state laws are in their respective states. They need to support victims on how to report this and not sweep it under the rug. So that's some of the training that we're providing for them. We are recruiting ambassadors throughout the U.S. because it will take many of us to roll this program out. We just need more education. We need the Sanghat and the committee members and management to support this movement to keep the Sanghat safe. Because there won't be any safety. It will just be a repeat of everything that's happened over the last many, many, many years.
Right.
Because no one wants to talk about it. So it's really having that accountability. And, you know, me visiting so many at the local level too, talking directly with the management saying, you know, this is what we're expecting from you. Will you support this? Will you look at these policies, put them into place? Here's what you need to do if something happens. If a member of the Sangha comes to you and says, this happened to me, what is your next step? So we're providing that information so they know exactly what to do.
Well, of course, during the pandemic, most of the gurdwaras were closed. But so how have you been reaching to the public, and especially how are the victims contacting you guys? And then how does the next process start? What kind of resources are you providing them? How are you helping them out?
So in regards to interacting with others, I think COVID has been both a blessing and a curse, and I think many of us can agree on that level. And with this pandemic, we have realized the importance of social media and virtual interaction with both victim survivors and with other agencies that we are currently working with to get some of our resources up in place. And one of the other resources I wanted to talk about in our 3 pillars of SikhSAACH, the prevention, accountability, and support. Support is the most fundamental aspect when it comes to most individuals reaching out to us. We want to make sure that they are taken care of. And currently, we're working to enable some sort of peer counseling or professional counseling services through SikhSAACH that would be subsidized by our organization to help create that support resources for victim survivors and just for the Sikh community as a whole.
Right. So prevention, accountability, and support, these are the 3 motives on which you have started working. And now that you have started reaching the gurdwaras, are you also reaching out the community at large? And what are the means by which you are reaching to them? Is it just through the net now? And how are the people contacting you?
It's through social media. And since we've started our new posting of our board members and our videos, we've started getting quite a bit of messages coming through. So as we get through them one by one, we'll assess what each case is and what the next step would be, find out their location and how SikhSAACH can help them. A big message I want to send out is that your messages are 100% confidential. So even though you reach out to us, you may not be ready to report it. You may not be ready to let anyone else know, and that's completely okay. We're here to work with you when you are ready, to make you feel safe and comfortable sharing with us, because this is like your own personal trauma, and we're here to help you through it. So confidentiality is crucial, it's vital, and you're completely safe with SikhSAACH.
SikhSAACH, prevention, accountability, and support, as you have mentioned, this is the focus. But all it comes down to is trust. Any victim who wants to come forward, first of all, he or she has to have the courage to come and report to someone. And especially within the community, when you see that there is not much support, people are a little hesitant. What has been your experience with your victims who are approached you? What is their trust level, and how do they feel after you give them some advice? Tell us a little bit about that.
So just to mention really quick, we had, Deepti, sorry. I just want to mention one of our young survivors did a video for us recently, and she's very brave to come out and do that. So I think and she told me before, 2 years ago when I had starting this, she said, Stevie auntie, are you going to change things? And it really just hit me because I knew her pain, and I said, yes, I'm going to do everything I can to make change. So now that we have SikhSAACH, she did a video for us. And I think as more victims and survivors see more people coming up, they'll feel more comfortable, they'll feel safe, and, they'll start reaching out because they do need that support. They do need people to believe them, but it will take time.
Right. Of course. Deepti, you were wanting to say something?
Harpreet, yes. So when you bring up the concept of trust, I think that's a very vital concept, especially in the case of sexual assault and sexual abuse, because people who have been victimized in this manner and people who come out of it, having some sort of healing, some sort of processing from what they faced, one of the biggest factors that they have been depleted of is trust. Because as we understand from the research, psychological research and counseling research and speaking with survivors and victims, that the people who are perpetrators of sexual abuse aren't strangers. These are people who have had the opportunity to build connections and relationships with these people. And these are people who have taken advantage of trust. Right. So when it comes to building that trust, one of the things that we understand is that trust takes time. Right. SikhSAACH is a brand new organization, and it is going to take some time for people to begin trusting us and to begin believing that confidentiality truly is the cornerstone of SikhSAACH, and what happens here and what is disclosed to us stays here. Right. And with trust, we will eventually just let it develop. It's the most important thing, to just let it grow and
absolutely, let it grow and let the bandwagon be more and more people join and come forward, because this issue needs to be addressed. It's not just in the Sikh community, it's across all cultures. But of course, when you can start working on your own community and make things better over here, it gives further impetus to others also. It's again time for a break. We'll go for a break. We'll be shortly back. And in the last segment, would like to know, when you talk about the prevention aspects, what recommendations would you like to give? People who are watching this program all over the world, and especially in the States, if they have or are becoming a victim of such kind of abuse, how can they come forward, and what are those precautions and preventions which they need to take? So we'll be shortly back and continue with the discussion.
ਭਾਰਤ ਪੈਸੇ ਭੇਜਣੇ ਹੋਣ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੰਗਵਾਉਣੇ ਹੋਣ ਤੇ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਫੋਰੈਕਸ ਨੂੰ ਤਸੱਲੀਬਖਸ਼ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਰੇਟ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਗਾਰੰਟੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6043491313 ਉੱਤੇ।
ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਵੇਂ ਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਸਟੋਵ, ਅਵਨ, ਫ੍ਰਿਜ, ਵਾਸ਼ਰ ਡਰਾਇਰ, ਮਾਈਕ੍ਰੋਵੇਵ, ਫ੍ਰੀਜ਼ਰਸ ਜਾਂ ਡਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ਼ਰ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਮ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਤੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ 3 ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚਸ ਸਰੀ, ਐਬਟਸਫੋਰਡ ਤੇ ਚਿਲਵੈਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ। ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ। ਇਹ ਡਿਲੀਵਰੀ ਤੇ ਇੰਸਟਾਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪੈਕੇजेस ਫॉर ਬਿਲਡਰਸ ਐਂਡ ਹੋਮ ਓਨਰਸ। ਕਾਲ 6045904140 604 590 4140।
ਕੁਦਰਤ ਦੇ ਸੌਮਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਆਯੁਰਵੇਦਾ ਰਾਹੀਂ 5000 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਬਣਾਏ ਗਏ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅਪਰੂਵਡ 100% ਸ਼ੁੱਧ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਡਾਇਟਰੀ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ ਲਾਭ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ, ਐਂਗਜ਼ਾਇਟੀ, ਇਨਸੋਮਨੀਆ, ਬਲੱਡ ਸ਼ੂਗਰ, ਕਿਡਨੀ, ਬਲੈਡਰ, ਹਾਜ਼ਮਾ, ਆਈਸਾਈਟ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਦਾ ਆਰਗੈਨਿਕ ਇਲਾਜ, ਜੋੜਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਦਰਦਾਂ ਤੇ ਸਰੀਰਕ ਮਸਾਜ ਲਈ ਕਈ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਤੇਲ ਵੀ ਉਪਲਬਧ ਹਨ। ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ 604 628 2003।
ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਡੇ ਟੂ ਡੇ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੈਸ਼ ਐਂਡ ਕੈਰੀ ਵੱਲੋਂ। ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਦਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਗਰੋਸਰੀ ਸਟੋਰ ਹੈ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ, ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨੀ, ਸ਼੍ਰੀਲੰਕਾ, ਬੰਗਲਾਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟਸ, ਪਾਰਟੀ ਵੇਅਰ, ਗਰੋਸਰੀਜ਼, ਕਿਚਨਵੇਅਰ, ਹੋਮਵੇਅਰ, ਪੂਜਾ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਖਰੀਦ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। 5000 ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟ ਸ਼ੈਲਫਸ ਤੇ ਡਿਸਪਲੇਡ ਹਨ। For best prices, unique grocery buying experience and high quality products, come to 7843 128th Street, Surrey. Address है 7843 128 Street, Surrey. Phone number है 604 503 8787 604 503 8787. This program has been brought to you with the support of AMC Insurance. If you're looking for home, auto, travel, business, life or recreational insurance, you can depend upon them. They have 9 branches in the lower mainland to serve you. They're open 7 days a week from 8:30 a.m. onwards till 9 p.m. Phone number is 604-507-6666. We are guests today from SikhSAACH, and Stevie Kaur from Wisconsin and Deepti Kaur from Los Angeles are talking to me today about this organization, which was created to help victims of sexual abuse and sexual assault. So let's get back to them and learn more as to what the mandate is and what precautions and preventions would they like to recommend. So let's start with the preventions when you talk about it, because this is what one of the motive of your organization is. So Deepti, can you tell us ਕਿ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ prevention ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ what are you focusing on? How are those victims who are already suffering have the courage to come out? And as you very rightly mentioned that though this is a new organization, it will take time to develop that trust. But since the time you have been working for the past 5-6 months, you have developed that identity where people feel that there is an organization within the community where they can come out and talk to them.
So when we talk about prevention, we are specifically addressing the educational and awareness aspects of sexual abuse and sexual assault. And we understand that this is the foremost importance in the Sikh community at this point. So from our understanding, majority of victims and survivors are people who have been assaulted and abused in childhood. So a lot of the prevention that we talk about is geared towards parents and what to look for and how to interact with their child and build that conversational piece early on, just so children understand that their parents are a safe source of conversation and someone that they can turn to in the event that something ever does happen to them. And one thing I want to really state is, despite all the education and awareness that might be available to someone, if someone is ever victimized by sexual assault or sexual abuse, it is not their fault. No matter what they know, no matter what they should have done, could have done, it is never their fault. The fault of this crime lies strictly on the shoulders of the perpetrator. And that's very important. That's a cornerstone. I want to make sure everyone here who's watching that show understands that that is very, very crucial to ensure that we as a Sangat are communicating to our victims and survivors that it is not their fault. So having said that, prevention aspect, what can be done really early on is what we recommend is parents and children being able to talk about sex. We as a community, we don't talk about it with our children. And it becomes a very difficult conversation to have when they get older, even when sexual abuse and sexual assault does occur and when they might even feel comfortable talking about it. So we start those conversations early on, age appropriate conversations, 3, 4, 5-year-olds being told what body parts are, that nobody else is allowed to touch them beside parents and physicians in a medical caregiving setting. And starting with that, then we start telling children what good touch is, what bad touch is, what is allowed, what should be talked about. And I think one of the biggest problems with sexual assault and sexual abuse is the silence behind it, that people are not comfortable talking about it. And so in creating that conversation, that is the most important step.
Very true. That kind of environment has to be created at home, because these are the things which are considered to be taboos, and nobody, not the parents, because they also have not heard from their parents, and it's an environment of silence within the home where nobody wants to touch these issues. Stevie Kaur, what Deepti Kaur has mentioned, most important thing is the accountability. Now, our pioneers who came over here and they established the Gurdwaras, these were not just religious centers, these used to be social hubs where issues were discussed. And then, as we say in Bani, ho ekattar milo mere bhai, dubida dur karo levlai, that when you are surrounded with problems, you have to sit together and use your brains to find solutions for that. Do you think that we are lacking now these kind of concepts, that we have just created the Gurdwaras as just religious places where on a Sunday we come, sit there, listen to some kirtan and then eat langar and then go back? And how organizations like yours will try to bring in that accountability factor of the religious organizations also, that this is your duty also. It's not just the job of one organization, because you are just limited to something. But Gurdwaras are the place where all the people come, and these can be utilized to create that kind of awareness.
That's correct. I think that there's definitely a disconnect now in the Gurdwaras, and COVID did not help this situation at all, as everyone stayed home and just listening to kirtan online. But prior to COVID, there was still a disconnect. As I've traveled the US, I've been to many, and I can see, yes, especially the youth, they go because their parents are probably making them, and then they have langar and then they leave. So they're not connecting to Gurbani, they're not connecting to the Sangat. So we definitely have that disconnect outside of the sexual assault issue. So once they start opening up, we do want to start tabling again and talking to everyone, talking to the Sangat, letting them know what we do. And we do want what we foresee in the future, once COVID is, kind of wrapping up, is having classes, in some of the schools that are there, training sessions for parents, because they won't naturally know how to comfortably speak with their children, but we can help them with that. Rolling out these policies again so that everyone can review reporting procedures. We really need to bring the communities back together,
Right.
So when you fall, it's how you rise. So we want to rise together, and SikhSAACH will be there to help them.
Right. As for the support is concerned, if some case comes to you, what is the next process? You start, because the trauma that the person has gone through, it's really difficult to overcome that. So can you tell us a little bit about as to if someone comes to you, then what are the steps that you take to support them? And if there are some resources also with which you have aligned, which you let them know and then you provide them those services?
From both
So
of our
when it
backgrounds, Deepti and I, or just one second, we have the same background and the same training when it comes to sexual assault. So making sure that the priority first is that the victim is safe, that they're
Right.
removed from that situation, they're in a safe area, location, or with family. And then we need to see if they're going to report, what state they're in, and then we see what resources are there, which counselors we have on site. We need to make sure. So I'm in Wisconsin, Dipti's in LA, California. If someone is in Phoenix, Arizona, then we would reach out to our resources there to make sure that this person is cared for and is safe in this urgent manner. Dipti, you want to add to that?
And one of the most important things for support is whatever ideals that we have for the victim or survivor mean nothing. What happens and what support resources we give are anything and everything that the victim and survivor needs. So if they want to report, we will help them do that. If they want to just need a resource to speak to, just someone one-on-one, a peer counselor, professional counselor, just in that confidential aspect, that is what we will provide. If they want to make this into a community thing and something that they need help in speaking to their parents about, other family members, community members, that is something we will help them with as well. So it's
Right.
whatever the victim or survivor wants.
Right. And this aspect is also very important when we talk about accountability, because in our community, mostly we always say, what will the community think about it? Whatever we are doing, that is the prime thing which is focusing on our mind. And a lot of our actions are based on what the people will think of what we are doing. So involving the community is a very important aspect. And as Stevie, you mentioned before, that as the pandemic, things ease and the situation is better, then reaching out to the community at the Gurdwara level also will be one important aspect of your focus. What are your other plans? How are you spreading across the states? And right now, are you just based in these 2 states, or you have spread into the other states of USA also?
So we
We
have
have been
ambassadors in
spreading.
Texas. Yeah, we have in Texas, California. There's 3 in
Okay.
California, Texas, Maryland. So as we grow and people get more involved, the goal is to get, we even have an ambassador in Canada. So it's to spread through all of North America. But as Dipti has said in her video, it's going to take a legion. It'll take many of us. So we
Right.
really encourage the community to get involved, to reach out, and we've been receiving messages, but we will need many to support this initiative and to help make change for sure.
Right. Deepti.
So as SikhSAACH is growing, something I want to highlight is the fact that as we're building our resources, we're incorporating them within our social media and online accounts. And I want to encourage everyone here to please visit SikhSAACH.org, SikhSAACH, and that's online. Every new update that we have as we're growing gets put up on that website. We have a full board member registry up there as well, opportunities for donations, opportunities for prevention, accountability, and support services, and what those look like and those resources. We also are growing our social media on Instagram as well as Facebook at SikhSAACH. So if anyone wants more updates as we continue to move along, please follow us there so we can keep you posted.
Great. Wonderful. It was a pleasure talking to you both. In conclusion, if you would like to add anything to what you have said so far.
I want to thank everyone here for sitting with us through this topic and through this conversation. I know it is a difficult piece, and as people even hear us talking about SikhSAACH and what our aims are, it can bring up a lot of emotion in those of us who are watching. And so I want to encourage them and let them know that, it's okay. Whatever you're feeling is completely acceptable and completely understandable. And if you need us, if you need support, we're here.
Great. Again, thank you very much to both of you, and congratulations and best wishes for your future endeavors. And we are sure that with the kind of initiative you have launched, you will be able to provide support to those people who require that, and especially within the community, a lot of people who say that there are some limitations to go outside, but within the community, if they are facing this kind of crisis, they'll definitely come forward. Once again, thank you very much to both of you, and best wishes. Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh ji. ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ੁਲਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਜ਼ੁਲਮ ਸਹਿਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਅਲਾਉਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਵਿਕਟਿਮ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲੀ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਅਬਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ SikhSAACH, ਦ ਕੌਰ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਸੰਸਥਾਵਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੁਝ ਨੇਕ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ। ਤੇ ਜੋ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੀਵੀ ਕੌਰ ਅਤੇ ਦੀਪਤੀ ਕੌਰ ਨੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, SikhSAACH.org ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਹੈ, ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ। आओ सारे रल मिल के समाज को बेहतर बनाने में अपना योगदान जरूर पाइए। तो हमेशा ही मैं कहना that if there are some institutions who are coming forward to do something good, it is our duty, we are bound to support them in any way we can. Let's support them। आ सारी दुनिया च असीं जाने लंगर लाने लई यही आस करते हैं कि ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਯੰਗਸਟਰਸ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਨੇਕ ਕੰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਪਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵੀ ਵੱਡੇ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰੇ। थोड़ा मेरा साथ होया करता है मंडे टू फ्राइडे शाम के 7 बजे पैसिफिक स्टैंडर्ड टाइम के मुताबिक। इफ़ यू ऑल्सो वांट टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस प्रोग्राम, यू कैन कंटैक्ट मी थ्रू WhatsApp at 604-603-7555, or you can email me at harpreetsingh@gmail.com. And also would like to seek your support. If you are liking these programs, please go to youtube.com/harpreetsingh and subscribe to the program, because every evening at 7 p.m. from Monday to Friday we have different guests who come and educate us, empower us and inspire us. So we would seek your support for this cause. इत्थे ही करते हैं प्रोग्राम की समाप्ति, फिर मुलाकात करेंगे। Have a safe evening, stay healthy and enjoy yourself. ਸ਼ਾਈਨ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਡੈਂਟਲ ਕਲੀਨਿਕ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਤਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਰੇਖ ਹੇਠ ਆਧੁਨਿਕ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦੰਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੰਦਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰਨਾ, ਕਰਾਊਨਸ, ਬ੍ਰਿਜਸ, ਡੈਂਟਲ ਇੰਪਲਾਂਟਸ, रूट कनाल, डेंचर्स, बॉन्डिंग ਅਤੇ ਵਨੀਰਸ, ਐਕਸਟ੍ਰੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ, ਬੋਨ ਗ੍ਰੈਫਟਿੰਗ ਆਦਿ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹਨ। ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਡੈਂਟਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਮਾਹਰ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਬਿੱਲ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਘੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਚਾਰਜ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਵਾਅਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਫॉर ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਸ਼ਾਈਨ ਐਂਡ ਸਮਾਈਲ 604-503-0320 ਤੇ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਕਿੰਗ ਜਾਰਜ ਸੁਪਰ ਸਟੋਰ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ, ਯੂਨਿਟ 370, 7488 ਕਿੰਗ ਜਾਰਜ ਬੁਲੇਵਾਰਡ, ਸਰੀ।
ਘਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਐਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ, ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295।
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਸੁਖੀਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਓਨਰ ਸੁਖੀਬਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਰ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ ਸੁਖੀਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋੜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਟਰੱਕਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਪੇਸ, ਮੋਡੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਫਿਊਲ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਸੀ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਖੀਬਾਟ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਟੌਰ।
ਵੈਨਕਾਸਾ ਟਾਈਲ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਸਟੋਨ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਬੈਕਸਪਲੈਸ਼, ਮੋਜ਼ੇਕ ਆਦਿ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ, ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼, ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼ ਪੋਰਸਲਨ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਰੈਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਰਬਲ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਆਰਡਰ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਲੀਅਰੈਂਸ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਲਕ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 13042884 ਐਵਨਿਊ, ਸਰੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604-330-7363, 604-330-7363।